So, hello everybody. My name is Oleh and I'm a developer at the Team International. Today we are going to discuss such an interesting topic as dependency injection in the new .NET Console template. So, how to do with this and how to start and which additional configurations does this need at all. So, first of all, we will create a new project of the console application and let's give it a name. So as a new console, and let it be in the directory git directory. Also we leave these settings unmodified, so the SDK will be the 7th one, .NET 7, and currently we will not set up the Docker support. So maybe it will be in some further movies. So okay, let's start with this and let's create this application. So we have created this one, and currently this application is being constructed. Okay, so we see it, and as a base we have the connection string to our database, which is a test one and contains one table. So, and we are going to use this connection string in this application. So first of all, we need to scaffold this database into our DB context and models. So how we are going to do this? So first of all, we need to proceed with the article about the scaffolding process, and let's go to this one because we are going to use the .NET CLI tools in this video. And yeah, so we should ensure that the .NET tools are installed for our system. Let's do this. So let's navigate to this one, Explorer, and let's call the PowerShell. So we have some options to do this from the path string. So it can be either cmd command to run the cmd, or we can do it via PowerShell. So we should write the pwvsh in the command line instead of cmd. So after that we need to go here, copy this one, and try to install. So we have these tools installed. So instead of installing, we can sure that these tools are up to date. So let's copy this one and paste it here. Okay. So we have the latest stable version installed. Okay, let's proceed to this tutorial, and we see the example of the .NET scaffold command. So let's copy it. Let's paste it here, and let's use our connection string instead of this default one. So here, copy this one, our PowerShell we have running, and let's do this command so this way. We'll start it. Unfortunately, we are lacking this one in our solution, so let's do this let's install this one. Yes, we're installing this one, and we should install the SQL Server. So SQL Server, but not the design, and the regular one. So Entity Framework Core, and we should search for the SQL Server package. So here it is, and we are going to install it here. Okay, so we have now 2 packages installed, and let's redo our command. So copy, paste, and we'll start it. So we should not use the connection string in the raw format in our application, and we will do the app.config file instead of that. So we see the new files for the person entity. which has an extra partial word which we do not need, and also we do not need these references. So here is our entity class, and here we have the DB context class. So let's omit these unused statements. Also, we should leave this one for the dependency injection, and yeah, we have one DB set. We have the onConfiguring method, but we do not need it explicitly, so we can currently easily delete it. So let's leave the configuration method for our model, and we do not need also these ones. So let's trim a bit our DB context. After that, we need to create the app settings file. So we are going to create the default app settings JSON file, app settings.json. Okay, here we go. Also, we need to create the connection string section, which will contain the default connection. So okay, it's just a template, but we need to input our connection string for our database. So let's copy it and use instead of this one. Close the bracket and escape this slash. Okay, so we have this connection string in the connection strings, and after that we can easily proceed with dependency injection in our console app. So let's remove this the default template, and after that we need to start with our configuration method. But before we start, we need to install 2 extra packages which are included by default into the web template. So these packages are extensions, and we need extensions configuration. Here, this one, and configuration.json while we are using the JSON file. Okay, so this one. So in total, we have currently 4 packages installed. So we have the entity framework core design package for our scaffold functionality. Also, we have entity framework SQL server for the database connection. Also, we have both configuration and configuration JSON in order to access our app settings JSON file in the configuration. Next, we have to create the configure services method, which is by default included in the web template, but it is not included in the console one. So we need the type of service provider. So we have this service provider, and we have this. Better it's to disable this one, because it can generate some not needed code for us. Static service provider, and let's call it configure services. Okay, so here we start. First of all, we need to create the configuration builder. So let it go with configuration, and it will equal new configuration builder. Configuration builder dot set base path. We mandatory need this method in order to set the base path for searching of our settings, and here we should input the directory dot get current directory. So the current directory is the directory where is the app settings JSON is located. So the next one will be add JSON file, and we need to specify some options here. So first of all, this will be the file name. So the file name is app settings.json. Next, we need to set the optional parameter to false. because this file is mandatory, and the reload on change set to true. Set to true, and the final step will be to build our configuration. So here we have the configuration builder object, but also we need to specify that our app settings.json will not just reside in the project directory, but will be copied also to the application build directory. So we need to do that with the build action. So here we can specify copy the output directory if newer. So if you update this file, it will be automatically copied to the application directory. So okay, and let's see the changes in the CS project file. So we have the usual property group. Here we have all our packages, and we have this one. So none update and copy to output directory, preserve newest. So this setting ensures that the newer version of app settings.json will be copied to our application output dir. So after this one, we need to retrieve our connection string from the app settings.json file. Let's do it with the new variable connection string, which will equal configuration dot get connection string, and let's specify the name which this string has in the connection string section. So it will be default connection. And why it is obvious to specify this name like this? Because if we go to the declaration of this method, we see that we are getting section, and yeah, so we do not have the default name of this connection string provided. So anyways, we should to provide the exact name of this connection string whenever it is a default connection. After that, we need to create a new service collection. So collection is new service collection. And let's add our DB context to this collection by the way of collection dot add a DB context type of our some data context, and let's specify the connection string which this context should use. So builder dot use SQL server and our connection string. And that's why we need our constructor here in the DB context, because this constructor receives our DB context options and passes it to the default context. So this is a mandatory one. But obviously this class doesn't need the partial keyword because it is located just in one file. So let's omit this word. And the last step of this method is to return our service provider, which we are going to use later. So return collection dot build service provider. So, and here we can go further to access some data from our DB context. So the next steps in the console template will be to call this method to retrieve the DB context and to get some data. So because it's a new template and it doesn't have the default usual class program and method main, we are assuming that we are writing our code here before the local functions declaration. So this configure service is rightfully not a method, but a local function for this program CS. So let's start with provider, and it will be configure services, this one. So, and while we have got the provider, we can use our DB context. So we can start with using declaration. So using var context equals provider. One moment. Get required service. Type of our some DB context. And next we are going to retrieve the data and write the local function to retrieve, for example, which class we have. We have the class person. Let's retrieve the name of each person to the array. Why we are going just to output it to the console. So let's write a method which has string array get person's names, and which will get the DB context as an argument. So some data context, and let's proceed with context dot persons dot select, and we are going to select the string of the format person dot first name and person dot last name for each person, and we need to specify to array here. So, and let's do some enhancements here. So first of all, we need to alter this to data context in order not to clash with this one, and let's bring this function not to DB context but to program CS. So here, but not here. One moment, but here. Okay. So we have this function and we have this DB context. And let's retrieve the array person names, and we'll be get person names and data context, but our context here. Also, there is one refactor in here because we know that entity framework is both sync and async. We can go with the async approach. So how we can go? First of all, we can alter this to array async, and to use the task of string array here. Also, we need to await this one, and we can also use the await using declaration here. So after we have the array of the person names, so we can easily iterate them with the for each loop, and for each name in person names we can easily write console.writeLine and provide the name each of in this collection. And let's start the application to determine whether it is working or not. So here we see the output, and for somebody it can be confusing why we do not have the new console appeared, but this can be easily done in the configuration just by using the use external console setting. So this, and we have our output in the separate console window, and also the console has disappeared. So why do we have this? It's just because we need to wait for some user input in this case. So for example, read key, and the console will just wait for our input and keep this list on screen. So for example, we have all this list from our database, and when we are doing some input, the console window it disappears. So that is the most simple way to configure the dependency injection in the new new console application template, and hopefully this video will be suitable for the beginners and other ones who is going to proceed with this dependency injection in the brand new console app template. So hopefully this video will be helpful, and have a nice day.